Hi, welcome back. Today we are going to take some time to chat about the return of Marc Jacobs Beauty. I think that now we can officially say that Marc Jacobs Beauty is returning. Marc Jacobs Beauty has a new parent company that was announced this week and has a timeline in which they expect to have products out on the market. So today we're going to chat about a little bit of where are we coming from and what happened to Marc Jacobs Beauty that warrants us talking about a return in the first place. Who is the new parent company and why does that matter? Where does Marc Jacobs fit in the conglomerate that is acquiring them? And my personal wish list of how I'm hoping Marc Jacobs Beauty will make its mark in its return to the beauty space. My name is Jo, this is Shimmers and Pans. We talk about mostly makeup, sometimes skincare, and sometimes about some news like today. So if this sounds like something fun, stick around and we'll dive into the, I think, very anticipated and celebrated return of Marc Jacobs Beauty. Let's go. One of the most important things to point out is that Marc Jacobs Beauty is the beauty extension of Marc Jacobs, the designer, who's had a remarkable career in the fashion industry. One of his most important jobs was as creative director of Louis Vuitton for a number of years. And of course, he's dressed multiple famous ladies, and I'm not sure if he does menswear, to be honest. His purses were really famous in the 2000s. This is the Stam, probably Marc Jacobs' most famous bag. And overall, he's considered a well-regarded American designer. And so Marc Jacobs Beauty was considered a high-end makeup brand. It was sold at Sephora and other retailers, and it was developed by brand incubator Kendo. Important to know that because Kendo is one of the, I would say, most important brand incubators right now. If you don't know what a brand incubator is a company that develops makeup brands or beauty brands in this case, but of course they can develop other brands. So some of the better known brand incubators these days in the beauty space include Seed Beauty, which is the brand incubator for ColourPop and originally Kylie Cosmetics. And then you also have Forma Brands, which is the brand incubator for Morphe, Morphe 2, Jaclyn Cosmetics. They later acquired Playa Hair Care, and I want to say Bad Habit was one of the other brands under Forma. But my point is, it's basically a brand developer. They do the whole product development thing, the manufacturing, and of course the distribution to retailers. So Kendo, to give you an example, is the incubator behind big brands at this point, especially big celebrity brands like Fenty. Kendo is also closely associated with LVMH, which is the largest luxury conglomerate in the world, which happens to own Sephora, okay? So all of these things kind of tie together. So when Marc Jacobs Beauty started being put on sale at Sephora, this was kind of during the pandemic, a lot of people started noticing that like their holiday collection, which was that really cute cherry one, went on sale really quickly, and a bunch of other Marc Jacobs products were going on sale, and people were like, what's going on? Is Marc Jacobs leaving Sephora? Oh, not. Is the brand going out of business? Because it was being discounted in a bunch of places. And there was never like a proper announcement, like, oh, Marc Jacobs Beauty is no more, we're going out of business, or we're shutting down to rebrand. Nobody really said anything. If there was an official statement and I missed it and you can find it, can you please drop it in the comments for me? Because I can't find it. So, after that, the online store, the website, all the products were put on sale. In fact, the Marc Jacobs Beauty products that I own, I got on that closeout sale. But at the time, one of the things that was speculated was that the licensing deal with Kendo was ending, and so Marc Jacobs Beauty was no longer going to have an incubator behind them that would develop their products, so they were going to have to find someone else. But years went by and nobody really said anything, so everybody just kind of assumed that Marc Jacobs Beauty was dead, that the brand was just gonna cease to exist, that, you know, the Marc Jacobs house had moved on to other things, and that was the end of that. So, you know, a lot of people mentioned Marc Jacobs Beauty in like videos for like dead beauty brands or like discontinued products or like products that we missed. I remember seeing the Omega Tantastic mentioned a lot as like, oh, you know, this product's no longer available, but I love it, and so on. And then in May of this year, May 2023, so it's been about 2.5 years, I would say, we saw a post on Trend Mood with a short statement that was published on Net-a-Porter, the luxury retailer, saying that Marc Jacobs Beauty was going to return. There wasn't a whole lot of information at that time. It was just kind of like a teaser, like Marc Jacobs Beauty will return, you know, like the little post-credits thing that they used to put in the Marvel movies at the end, like Tony Stark will return as Iron Man. It was kind of like that, like Marc Jacobs Beauty will return, and there was like a statement, like a tiny quote, something like that. I'll leave the Trendwood post in the description box linked so that you can check it out. And then earlier this week, in fact 2 days ago from the date of filming, today is Thursday, August 24th, Trendwood published again another post confirming that Marc Jacobs Beauty had been acquired by Coty. I will also link the Marie Claire magazine article that I used as reference for my information in the points that I'm discussing in this video. And in my opinion, this is incredibly significant because Coty is a massive beauty conglomerate. In fact, Coty owns Marc Jacobs fragrances, or develops and creates Marc Jacobs fragrances. So they already had a standing relationship with the Marc Jacobs house because they developed the perfumes. A lot of other designers and fashion houses develop their perfumes with Coty. Some examples are Burberry, Chloe, Jimmy Choo, and then even other luxury brands like Tiffany's have their perfumes under the Coty conglomerate umbrella. But here's why I think that this is really significant when it comes to makeup. I think it's significant because Coty owns a variety of makeup brands, and they're kind of like spread within different price points. So to me, acquiring Marc Jacobs Beauty signals that they want to go more for like the designer, luxury, higher end makeup, and that they want to compete harder in that category. Let me give you some examples of some of the makeup brands that are owned by Coty. So in the drugstore / affordable realm, we have CoverGirl and Rimmel London, to mention two, both brands that I used widely in my late teens, even in my like mid-teens when I started wearing makeup. I remember CoverGirl had like these little quads that were mostly shimmers. I used those a bunch. I used the CoverGirl pressed powder a bunch. I remember loving the Rimmel London Scandalize mascaras and the Kate Moss collab lipstick. Like she did a collab with Rimmel London of like red lipsticks, and I remember loving one for many, many years. Both of those brands, you know, are drugstore staples. They've been around for decades at this point, and they are both owned by Coty. And in the last couple of months, they've both become like a little bit more talked about because they've both been certified cruelty-free. So many of the beauty YouTubers that I use, you know, sometimes reminisce about the fact that they hadn't used CoverGirl or Rimmel for a number of years because they're cruelty-free channels, and those brands were not cruelty-free. Now they are. So to some people, you know, that is important, that certification, and so they're becoming a little bit more prominent, but also some of the products are getting pretty good reviews. I've seen favorable reviews of some of the CoverGirl pressed powders in the last few months. I've also seen good reviews of, what's the other product? I believe a primer from CoverGirl. Also, CoverGirl is now a clean beauty brand, which again signals that Coty wants to make sure that their brands are kind of staying up to date on things that people are paying attention to. So CoverGirl becomes kind of like Coty's clean beauty option at the drugstore. They're both cruelty-free. That's something that some people pay attention to, and so on. And then you have like in the mid to high end range, Kylie Cosmetics, to mention a brand that a lot of people have heard of in the beauty space that was not without controversy. I'm not gonna get into that because a whole bunch of people have made videos about what happened with Kylie Cosmetics when it was acquired by Coty, and that's not the point of this video. However, Kylie Cosmetics is sold kind of like a higher price point, so it's not necessarily like a mid-range brand. Some people think that the prices maybe are not justified based on like the quality or the formulas. I can't speak to that because I've never used a Kylie Cosmetics product. It's not my style, it's not my cup of tea. I'm personally not interested by the brand, but it is a brand that, you know, Kylie Jenner as a personality is like top of mind for a lot of people. So when it was acquired by Coty, it was kind of a big deal. In that same transaction, they acquired KKW Beauty, which is no longer a brand, but they do still own SKKN, Skin by Kim. I don't really know how to pronounce that. And Kim Kardashian herself has stated that when her makeup brand returns, it will be under the SKKN, Skin by Kim line. But based on some of the products that that line has launched in the past few months, I think it's fair to assume that the prices will be a little bit higher than what Kylie Cosmetics is. But let's go into the higher slash luxury slash designer price point and where Coty comes into play there. And I think the most important brand to mention in that regard that Coty owns is Gucci Beauty. Gucci Beauty has, you know, they've come in hot into the beauty space. Some of their products have gone viral, like the blushes were a big deal when they came out. The lipsticks have been a big deal since they've been out. A lot of people see the Gucci lipsticks as holy grails, a lot of big favorites. They've done a lot of like those 90s style browns that a lot of people love. The foundation, if I remember correctly, got favorable reviews from what I could see. I remember Jackie Aina giving it a good review. And so they've come in doing pretty well. Gucci Beauty has, you know. One of the things that kind of characterizes the brand is their packaging. Like, it's made with packaging that is, I think, made with the intention to be displayed. Like, the packaging is very sleek. It's either like that lacquer black or gold, or in the case of the lipsticks, has like those little flowers that remind me of wallpaper. It's a very like classic, girly aesthetic that I think appeals to a lot of people. And, you know, when you have very aesthetically pleasing products that perform really well, you know, that drives attention online and that drives sales. So I think that this is, of course, me speculating because I don't work for Coty and I know nothing. I think that Coty has looked at the opportunity to buy Marc Jacobs Beauty and bring it into their portfolio as a chance to have like an edgier luxury makeup brand that can compete with other luxury makeup brands in a way, or appeal to customers that maybe Gucci Beauty doesn't appeal to, okay? So the old, for example, packaging of Marc Jacobs Beauty was, again, very sleek, very minimalist. I remember mostly black, white, gold packaging, or like black or white with gold trim. I'm thinking specifically of like the bronzers packaging and some of the eyeshadow palettes. With, you know, from time to time, something really fun and whimsical, like that cherry collection that was released, I think it was holiday 2020. I want to say it was either holiday 2020 or holiday 2019. I'm not sure, but, you know, I remember the packaging being really cute. And then, of course, Marc Jacobs Beauty was known for color cosmetics. The eyeshadow palettes had good reviews. Again, I mentioned the Omega Fantastic Bronzer as being a product that a lot of people liked, and other products like the eyeliners. I have two of the eyeliners. I'm wearing one of the eyeliners today. I'm wearing the Blacker Currant eyeliner, which is like an eggplant color. Don't know if you can see it there. I hope you can. There it is. So I'm wearing that. So it was definitely a brand where, you could get like a nice classic makeup, but there was definitely priority in color cosmetics and kind of like giving you a chance to play and create looks that maybe were not so neutral, maybe had a little bit more edge, and maybe were a little bit more dramatic. So that's what I'm hoping will happen when Marc Jacobs Beauty is acquired by Coty and Coty releases products. I'm hoping that they become like within the portfolio of brands from Coty. I hope they become like Gucci Beauty's edgier sister that, wears like smudge eyeliner. Yeah, that's kind of what I think that is gonna happen, is what I hope happens, is the kind of product that I hope that Marc Jacobs Beauty releases when they return. And I'm hoping to see a couple of things from their product line. Number one, I wanna see eyeliners again. I wanna see eyeliners in bold colors, and I want to see eyeliners that can be worked with in different ways. So creamy enough that they can be smudged if you want to get like kind of like a smudged, not super structured eyeliner look, or that you can create something a little bit more polished, but that gives you like bold colors that stand out, like this eggplant color. I also have a coppery kind of color that is just beautiful and has like sparkles on it. What I'm hoping is that like I'm hoping that those eyeliners, when they come, if Marc Jacobs Beauty releases eyeliners when the brand returns, what I'm hoping is that they're like eyeliners that can compete with Victoria Beckham's Satin Kajal eyeliners. Everything I've heard from those eyeliners is, very creamy, very easy to work with. They hold, but if you want to do a smudged look, you can, and have those very like bold colors. So I'm hoping that when Marc Jacobs Beauty like launches, that if they launch eyeliners, I'm hoping that someone will be like, okay, we need to compare these to the Victoria Beckham eyeliners. Number two, cheek products. I want to see a return of the Fantastic Bronzer. I would love to see blushes and highlighters from Marc Jacobs Beauty. I would love to see highlighters. I don't know if they had highlighters before. If they did, let me know in the comments, especially if you ever tried one. But I would love to see, like, that big compact that they had for the Fantastic Bronzer. I want to see like a really glossy, kind of wet, shiny highlighter in that white compact. I want to see that. So in a cream formula, by the way. I would love for it to be a cream highlighter. But that's me. I would love to see them do cheek products. Again, kind of give you more of those like editorial glossy looks. We're seeing a lot of that from other brands right now, but I would love to see that from Marc Jacobs Beauty when the brand relaunches. That is, however, I think, especially thinking about the Fantastic Bronzer, is a double-edged sword, because if the new formula is not done well, people are gonna compare it to the old formula and it could backfire, It just makes me think of what happened with Bite Beauty when they became vegan, like Bite Beauty, awesome lipsticks, awesome lip products, then, they reformulated and they couldn't really replicate their old formulas in a vegan version, and the brand suffered, in my opinion. I mean, I had the non-vegan lipsticks at first, and then I had the vegan lipsticks, and they were definitely not the same. The colors were still beautiful, but the formula was not the same, and I definitely think that it hurt the brand because their old customers were not on board with the vegan formulas because it was just not the same. So there's always a danger, especially with a product like the Omega Fantastic Bronzer, that if the new formula is not like strong, that people are going to compare it to the old formula and the product may not perform as well as they're hoping. But I would love to see cheek products from Marc Jacobs Beauty when they relaunch, especially highlighters. And last but not least, I wish they would do an eyeshadow product, like a cream eyeshadow pot, kind of in the line of what Tom Ford, Victoria Beckham, and Auric do. So like Tom Ford has those like cream eyeshadow pots where you have like the cream eyeshadow and then you have like a topper with it. I think Org does a similar product, and you know, Victoria Beckham Beauty also does these like very rich metallic cream eyeshadows. I think that Marc Jacobs Beauty could do something really beautiful with that, and if they take inspiration from Marc Jacobs' actual designs, that would be awesome. My one wish would be that they would make a cream eyeshadow in the jade green of that jade green dress that Marc Jacobs made for Miley Cyrus in like the mid 2010s. I think it was in 2014 that she wore it. I'll try to find a picture. That dress was gorgeous, and I would love to see either a really nice cream eyeshadow in a color like that, or like a flaky foiled kind of metallic with that kind of color. I would love to see Marc Jacobs Beauty come up with formulas that really deliver on that, like metallics and strong shimmers and the foiled kind of wet eyeshadows, but with some color. I would absolutely love to see that. I'm not saying that they can't release like some basic palettes, because I think that would also be a good idea. I wouldn't want to see like Marc Jacobs Beauty just be like a brand for people that like color. I think that, you know, it's also reality. Like you need to have some neutral options. And I think that neutral options that can go like really glam would also be a smart move from the brand. But I would really like to see some fun, bold colored metallics, especially something like that jade green from that dress. I've loved that dress for years. It's so pretty, but it's the color. I love that green, and I would love to see like single cream eyeshadows in pots with, you know, those jewel tones like that from Marc Jacobs Beauty when they return. So what happens next? Well, the timeline that Coty and Marc Jacobs Beauty has given for the brand to launch is about 2 to 3 years. So we have a long wait, but I think that's promising because it means that they have definitely taken their time, and they will continue to take their time. So we had a long space of radio silence between the time when like that big sale was on the website and Marc Jacobs shut down and the announcement of the Coty acquisition. And then we're gonna have a similar timeline between the announcement of who's gonna develop Marc Jacobs Beauty and the time that they're expecting to launch their first product. Do I think that they're gonna be like, oh, it's just too late, that people are not gonna respond? No, I actually think that people will respond, because what we are seeing is that even now when a lot of people complain about like, oh, the makeup space is so oversaturated and luxury makeup is so expensive, we're seeing newer brands like Valentino Beauty and most recently Prada Beauty coming in, bringing in some interesting products, getting good reviews and piquing people's interest. And yes, a lot of people are struggling, and luxury makeup is definitely not a need, but there are still people that can afford it. There are still people that are interested in it. And I really do think that it's a situation where like there's space for more people, there's space for more brands. And if that brand has a reputation, if that brand has, you know, dearly beloved products that people remember fondly, if that brand still has products that people are using, even if they're discontinued, even if they're no longer available and they can't replace it, I think that people will continue to follow with anticipation and will continue to look forward to the return of Marc Jacobs Beauty. I think it's gonna be good. I think that Coty is gonna work hard to not mess it up. Please, Coty, don't mess it up. Don't mess it up, Coty. Don't mess it up, please. We want something good. But I do think that the fact that they're really taking their time and they're not rushing into anything makes me think that what we're gonna get is a new and improved Marc Jacobs Beauty with all the things that we used to love from the old Marc Jacobs Beauty. So I'm very hopeful, and I'm gonna keep my eyes and my ears open for more announcements and more news and more details when they come around. If you wanna read more about what's been disclosed or published about the return of Marc Jacobs Beauty. I will leave the articles that I use for reference in the description box. I'll also post, include the Trendwood posts on Instagram that have the announcement is where I originally saw the whole thing go down. You want to hear me talk about these kinds of things in more detail, either about Marc Jacobs or about other brands, let me know in the comments or leave this video a like, because it does tell me, this is what people want to see. This is the conversation that people want to engage with you, because the whole point of this channel is for me to hopefully find more people that love makeup and have found joy in this world. If you are not following me on Instagram, I would definitely recommend doing that, because that's where usually posting more of the everyday stuff, products that are on their last legs, and all of that fun stuff. Did you use Marc Jacobs Beauty when it was around? Do you still have any of the products? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Let me know in the comments, and tell me one product that you would love to see Marc Jacobs Beauty do, or one product that you are eagerly anticipating for its return from the brand. That's gonna be it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you maybe are getting more excited or actually excited about the return of Marc Jacobs Beauty. If you liked the video, again, I would love to see you gift me a thumbs up if you think I deserve it. If you are not joining us over here in this sparkly corner of the internet, I would love to see you subscribe. That way, the next time I post a video, you won't miss it. But I will see you next time, which will be my Pat McGrath collection, which has grown significantly in 3 years. We'll talk about it when I post that. That's gonna be my next video after this one. Have a good one, everybody.